Another deadly day on the Gaza border with Israel. Palestinians confronting Israeli soldiers who say they opened fire to stop anyone crossing the perimeter fence. Some protesters here are calling for a march to Jerusalem. This holy and disputed city is at the very heart of the Israel-Palestinian. This date is always a time of protest for Palestinians. They remember how in fighting in 1948, hundreds of thousands of people lost their homes on land that became part of Israel. This year's demonstrations are also aimed at Washington.
We extend a hand in friendship to Israel, the Palestinians, and to all of their neighbors. May there be peace.
I'm here in Bethel in northern Ramallah, where ever since midday prayers ended, crowds have been eradicated this area by burning tires. And from here, they're hurling rocks and stones at the soldiers who are just a short distance in front of us. Now, every so often, the soldiers surge forward and start firing tear gas food. This comes just a day after the Americans moved their embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And that, too, sparked the worst day of violence since the last Gaza war back in 2014. It's a tear gas. The situation does go from one moment to the next, becoming incredibly tense. Paul Islia.
This is far beyond the capacity of a health system which was weakened in the past with the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Doctors were struggling yesterday to cope with the influx of the patients. In hospital, wouldn't have been possible for it to cope with influx in time. Like Shifa Hospital only was dealing with 400 injured, wounded people. At the same time, the doctors were all overworked over the 7 past weeks already, and yesterday came to deepen the crisis at hospitals. Hospitals have been working with limited resources. Doctors were working around the clock to cope with the influx of the wounded, and that was a challenge for the doctors. The triage, I mean, Gaza doctors also with the testimonies of our surgeon teams who are deployed in the hospitals, stand side by side to the doctors at Gaza. Their testimonies that Gaza doctors did a very good job in a very limited resources. They know how to deal with the patients, but it was just far beyond their capacity to cope with. For example, yesterday, the Palestine Red Crescent Society, whom their access to the border area to evacuate wounded was facilitated by ICRC through the dialogue with all sides in Gaza and also in Israel. They were overwhelmed with the number of wounded evacuated from the border area. They deployed their administrative cars to the border area. Some ambulances, 8 ambulances were not enough, so they were using their administrative cars, which are not equipped to be as ambulances. So this how the scene was in Gaza.